Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we like to gather around and talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have some new topics, some new updates to talk about. Let's just jump straight into the video. Starting off, we're previewing, this is the final preview of the Hall of Fame game. We talked about it a little earlier in the month, but with the time of this video being out, it'll actually be the day of the Hall of Fame game. Let's talk about the final things you need to know before watching this absolute clash. So, starters are out. Dan Campbell announced starters are out. We're not messing around. We're not risking anything. We've already had too many nonsense injuries in practice. Starters are not going to be one of those factors we have to worry about for this game. There will be thunderstorms. Weather's going to be a little shaky, so maybe some delays, maybe some, you know, maybe just a crazy weather game, just something to note. And then finally, Dan Campbell talked on the rookies who we thought were going to play, but probably aren't now. Dan Campbell said, "I don't think I'm going to play Tate Ratledge or Tyleik Williams this game." Campbell clarified, "We talked about it as a staff, and it's like, why don't we just wait? Maybe play him in Atlanta." So, they're going to hold on. They're going to hold tight there. I think it's a very good idea that we're not hurting our guys that are supposed to be helping out immensely, like our new offensive lineman or our run stopping defensive tackle that we need because of the injuries at defensive tackle. So, quarterback clash. Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen are going to be going at it. See which QB wants it more. My money's on Hooker. I think Hooker's just got it, honestly. More experience. He's been the guy. But there have been some reports in camp that Kyle Allen has been dialed. My choice of words, dialed. Because some of these reports I've seen, apparently he's just dotting up the field, throwing frozen ropes. So he might even have a better performance than we think. And it's not out of the question that he might take the role tonight in some of these preseason games, depending on how both players play. But I still think Hendon Hooker's got it. Isaac Tesla, Detroit's third-round pick, is possibly the player I think fans, including me, are the most excited to see for the first time. I can definitely attest to that. I think he's going to be very exciting, and we're going to finally see more than what we've seen in these practices, right? Because we've been seeing, he get this contested catches, all that great stuff. This would actually finally be the chance to see what he can really do. And Dominic Lovett, our seventh-round pick, has been popping off as playing a receiver in some cases, but he's been a special teams ace. So maybe we're going to see a whole bunch of punt returns, maybe some touchdown returns off kicks. That would be awesome. Be cool to see what Dominic Lovett's all about. Avonte Maddox, a defensive back that we signed in the free agency, feels like a lock, maybe something just shy of it, to make the roster. Because his versatility could allow then Detroit to keep two additional safeties if they feel, that there's a reason to do so. I think Avonte Maddox was a cool pickup, and be cool to see him stay on the team, possibly just for that depth in case something happens to our safeties, which never out of the question. And then finally, the guy I really like, Ahmed Hassanin. This guy, my guy. A sixth-round pick in April will be a fascinating watch on Thursday. I think he's just going to be fantastic. It seemed that, the team tried to really temper down the immediate hype around him when we grabbed him, the expectations, all that stuff. But so far in practice, he's just impressed. He's impressed scouts. He's impressed coaches. He's impressed his teammates. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And then Broderick Martin. Not likely to play. And this is not going to be good for the rest of his season and his future in Detroit, because if he can't be up for these preseason games, who knows if he's going to get any snaps in the regular season, unless he needs to step up, obviously, for injury reasons. But he needed to be in this game, in my opinion, and it's no good. So hopefully he recovers quickly. But that's the Hall of Fame game, guys. Hopefully the Chargers, put up a good fight. Hopefully it's a lot of fun to watch. Backups don't always make the best football, but hey, there's never say never. I think it'll be cool to see what our guys can do. I'm excited to see if Hendon Hooker is taking any new steps to become great, and we'll get to see some of our rookies go to work, and hopefully we see some flashes this game. But with that being said, let's move to our second topic. We are talking about the differences between Ben Johnson and John Morton. This was a topic I've wanted to discuss for a while because there are some key differences. One of the biggest storylines surrounding the Lions this offseason has been the change in coordinators, as we know. We talked about them quite a bit on the series so far. But during a recent interview with 97.1 The Ticket, Costa and Jansen show with Heather, guard Glasgow had an assessment of the differences between both of them. In his experience working with both, Johnson offered more consistent high energy, while Morton appears to be more laid back in terms of his approach to commanding the offense. Okay. So, quote, I think I think it's gone pretty smoothly. They're completely different, I feel like, in the way that they go about things. I think John is a little more laid back than Ben was. Ben was a little more uppity. I wouldn't say he was. I feel like they have the same amount of energy, but it just seems like Ben was more high energy because of the way he was always good and after it. But things seem to be going well. Everyone seems to be picking things up pretty good. I'm happy to see where we are at. So, Ben Johnson had a little more energy. Okay, whatever. Doesn't mean John Morton's not going to be great. If Graham Glasgow's saying they're moving well, then I have faith. I'd say something to keep in mind. Ben Johnson was kind of the architect for, the creative plays, the team's creativity on offense. Morton's background suggests he's probably going to have more of an emphasis on downfield passing, like we've talked about, more aggressive play calling on those third and longs instead of doing something kooky. So don't be surprised if you see less trick plays this year, which it's going to be a little sad, but it is what it is. Coordinator's got to call it how he's got to call it. And Ben Johnson also focused on establishing the run early on. It allowed him to set up play actions, big play actions, and more forward passes probably means a little decrease in runs. So the play action setup might not be as prevalent. It's going to be a lot more just snap pass, shotgun formation, maybe going empty. I doubt we'll go empty with our backs, but it's a possibility. And Morton previously worked on the Lions in 2022 as a senior offensive analyst. So he's got familiarity with the team. I think that's another thing people are like, oh, well, Ben Johnson had he grew with them and became really in with them. Now we got a stranger coming in. How is the offense going to react? John Morton's got some familiarity with these guys. I don't think he's going to walk in as a complete stranger, have to necessarily prove himself to some of these guys. I think there's like a level of trust between him and some of the older guys already. And I don't really see that being one of the biggest worries. So they both kind of have their strengths. We haven't seen weaknesses from John Morton yet because he hasn't had a chance to call, but maybe we'll see some of his action on this Hall of Fame game, see how he calls things. We'll see a little bit of differences there. Maybe. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see as many trick plays. So then my question to you guys is, will the offense be as fun to watch this year? Do we think it's going to be as fun? Do we think Lions offensive football is going to be as explosive? Maybe. I mean, if we're doing more forward passes, I could definitely see more explosive plays, big shots downfield to JMO, stuff of that nature. But is it going to be as fun to watch as it was last year? My bet's just going to say no, only because we had such a record-breaking season. Like, some of the stuff that happened was just out of a movie. Let's be honest, right? So I don't think it'll be as fun because we're not going to see these crazy, kooky trick plays. But maybe it'll still be a good offensive season. We got some dogs. I don't see it being boring. Let me say that it's not going to be boring. But with that being said, let's move on to our third topic. Where's Darius Smith at? Is he coming back? A lot of y'all have been talking about this in the comments. Me talking about guys we could potentially grab at defensive end. No, we just need Smith back. We'll just grab Smith. Okay, well, why haven't we? He's currently not on our roster because the team released him in March due to salary cap constraints. The Lions were facing a large financial commitment to Smith, including a $2 million roster bonus and a $7 million option bonus, which we couldn't afford. While the team has expressed openness to potential reunion, no active discussions have recently taken place. So that's why he's not back. Possibly waiting until after training camp to not risk injury. We know he's in good shape. Maybe we just sign him for the season. But he has expressed his desire to come back. He has. That's not one of the things stopping him. He does want to come back. So contract. Smith's original contract with Detroit was set to have a $5.7 million cap hit in 2025 with an additional 5.2 hitting in 2026 as dead cap. It's clear $11 million, even if it splits over 2 years, is going to be too expensive for us. I think that's without saying. However, Smith wants to go something reasonable compared to what he produces on the field. Last year, he produced 9 sacks after having 5.5 in 2023 and 10 in 2022. So let's just say he's good from somewhere, I don't know, let's say he's good from 5 to 8 sacks next year. That's what I'm assuming. And he's at 33, so he's only getting older. What are some salary comparisons for players at that production at that age? Well, let's look at a couple. Leonard Floyd will be 33. He had 8.5 sacks last year, and he's getting a 1-year, $10 million deal. Khalil Mack, 34 years old, 6 sacks. He has a 1-year, $18 million deal, but big name. It's going to happen. The Lions aren't likely to go for a $10 million deal if they weren't going to go for an $11 million deal. I think if the Lions do go for Smith, it'll have to come to the 5 to 6.5, $7 million range for a 1 year contract. And there's going to have to be some incentives because I don't think Smith is just going to bite on that. But it might not even matter, right? We've talked about how Matt Judon has been in constant talks with the front office, and it seems like an even a better fit because you can play outside linebacker, which is one of those positions we are a little light in right now. So we'd be getting almost 2 for 1. You think about it, right? And they're both at that older status. So I'd say get your bargain, right? I'd say get your money's worth. And I think Matt Judon fits the role so well that we might not even need Darius Smith. I know some of you guys have said, he's bad against the run. Matt Judon's not good against the run. Darius Smith would fit better. But think about it, guys. We have some run stuffing defensive tackles. I think it'd be really cool to have a versatile guy like Judon. Not to say that Darius Smith wasn't great for us last year. Honestly, I could still see this happening, but it's going to have to come down to Darius Smith, going down a little bit on his expectations for a contract. And with that being said, I don't think we're going to end up grabbing him. I think we're going to have to wait till the season starts because we might do what, save him, don't injure him in OTAs. But I honestly think we're not grabbing Darius Smith. Let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? I could be, but that's my opinion. Let's move on to the fourth and final topic. We are talking about Dan Campbell, and I think he found his center. I think Dan Campbell found his center. There was a recent report after much speculation that rookie Tate Ratledge would be suiting up at center. More reports have come in about Graham Glasgow and his performance at camps. Dan Campbell in a media conference said, "We just finished 2 days with Graham back at center and pads, and he looked pretty good. It looked pretty dang good. I think every day that looks pretty dang good, it gets a little more clearer." Okay, so right there, we're getting a little clue there. And the offensive coordinator, John Morton, agrees. After seeing a few days of Glasgow at center, a report came in that Morton said the position feels like a better fit for a 10-year veteran like him, who's logged in plenty of snaps at both center and guard before. I think it's just more natural for him. That's what he said. He said it feels more natural for him. So no matter where he's playing, Glasgow's going to have a big part in the protection calls because he's one of those vets on the line. He's got the experience, and he's going to have to help some of those inexperienced linemen that we got right now. Mahogany, Ratledge is a rookie. So he's going to have to step up and be the guy this year. And I don't think he's going to have a problem doing that, to be honest with you. Because it was rookie Tate Ratledge who initially started camp at center, a position he didn't play in college. While the Lions have been encouraged by what they've seen with Ratledge, particularly in his ability to absorb information fast, he's been a student of the game. It's probably going to be better for him at right guard, where he logged in almost all his college snaps in Georgia. So I think it's going to be Graham Glasgow at center, guys. I was pretty confident it was going to be Tate Ratledge a week ago. We had talked about it a little bit, but it seems now that the coaches have made a decision, and I think we're going to have to see some of these preseason games for sure. But I think week 1, we're going to see Graham Glasgow start at center. However, Campbell has not ruled out eventually moving Ratledge back to center at some point, and said he could give him some center reps this preseason, but with the rookie not expected to play in this Hall of Fame game, it'll be over a week since he's even gotten snaps at center. So let's be safe here. Let's keep the veteran in a position with more going on. I think it's a lot to give a rookie, even if he's good, that much to handle his first year with the team after there's some veterans already playing on the line. So, but that being said, I think it's going to be Graham Glasgow. And I faked him. I think he's going to be great. He's been a great guard for us. He's taken some downtime with some injuries and stuff, but I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to hold up the line well, and I think those vets on the line are going to really stand up and do something this year. So with that being said, that is all the time we have here for today at Lions Latest. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it to this point in the video, do you think we should have Graham Glasgow at center, or should we go with the rookie Tate Ratledge anyways? Just let me know. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.